Our next guest, a returning guest, thank you for coming back again, is David Reske of Nowspeed Inc. And the reason we're having David back is that he has a digital ad agency, and that just seems to be the trend nowadays. Is that right, David?
It is, yes. Great to be here. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you. Why don't you tell us a little bit first about the firm again so our listeners know, and then we'll get into some of the trends that you've seen over the last year with digital advertising.
Sure. Yeah, Nowspeed's a digital ad agency. We've been in business for about 11 years, and we use the best digital tools out there, things like Facebook and LinkedIn and Google AdWords, to drive traffic to our clients' websites, drive leads, and drive sales. We're all about helping people be more effective, build their businesses, grow their businesses using some of the hottest, newest digital advertising techniques.
It sounds fascinating. So what kind of trends are going on in your business now?
Well, it's been a really exciting ride over the last 10 years. I mean, 10 years ago, Google was really early, and people were just starting to spend money in Google AdWords and digital advertising. But over the last year, we've seen some major new trends happening in social media advertising. Actually, in the last 3 years, Facebook has doubled their market share, their global digital market share, and it is really growing very rapidly. Same with Twitter and LinkedIn. Smaller players, but a lot of spending. So there's a lot of more innovation, a lot better targeting, and as a result, it allows advertisers to be much more effective in what they're doing if they can connect all the dots between what they're promoting and what people actually see on the other end.
So a guy comes in and says, "I'd really like to advertise my product." What do you ask him? What do you do? I'm a manufacturer of nails. Widgets, doesn't matter.
Yep.
And I come into you and I say, "David, what can you do for me?"
Well, first of all, we have to understand a lot about the product and where it fits. So we'll ask you a lot of questions about who your buyer is, where your target audience is your product applicable to people in North America? Is it big companies, small companies? Is the buyer the CEO or the purchasing agent? So we'll try to find out really what that's all about. And then we'll try to get you to think about the offer, what you really want to offer people if you're going to advertise. Because if you can think about advertising things that are, we call them late stage offers, you're just looking for people who are at the end of the purchasing process, they're ready to buy. Or you can advertise kind of in the middle, somebody may know about you already, but they're trying to compare you to competition. Or you might be advertising somebody very, very early stage, somebody who's just doing some early research. So we try to figure all that out, and then we can create the right mix of tools and techniques to target exactly the people you want to reach and help you do it as efficiently as possible.
The ad agency business, the pendulum has swung back again. It's become a young person's game again, hasn't it?
Absolutely. You've got to be really comfortable with those, not only the digital tools and platforms like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, but you got to be very comfortable with the analytics. There's definitely a strong creative side to that. You need people who think strategically.
What are the biggest problems that you find that people have in terms of understanding how to utilize services like yours?
I think that there's a perception that it's very easy to do it yourself. People, you can start a Google AdWords account for $5.
Nothing easy is that easy.
Right, and you can spend, and what we find is that people get started and then they spend a few $1,000s with Google or Facebook, and they don't see any increase in traffic or leads, and they're like, oh, Google doesn't work. And, well, Google isn't one of the most valuable companies in the world because it doesn't work. It's that you did it badly. And so they need to understand need to take the time to understand the detailed process of how digital advertising works, how we connect all the dots, and then appreciate, I guess, the detailed work that we do. I mean, I was with a client last week, it's a university, and looking at a website that's got hundreds or thousands of pages, optimizing dozens of keywords on 5 or 8 different tags on each one of those pages for an SEO engagement, it's a lot of detailed work, and in order to get good business results. So I think understanding the goals and then the other thing about our best clients are the ones that hold us accountable to their business goals.